what normally happens when you're really high and there's rain? It's not rain, it's snow. Didn't expect that at all. That was exciting. Gracias. Hasta luego. Gracias. Having spent some time exploring Colca Canyon, I'm now leaving Cabanatuan, the village, perched on the edge of the canyon. When I was driving to the canyon previously, it was cold and it was getting late and I just wanted to get to Cabanatuan. As I was leaving, it was a beautiful day, so I really took the time to enjoy the drive. It was slightly precarious at times. Like I said, I don't love these heights, but I could take my time and enjoy it. I'm back at Cruz del Condor, the best place to see condors apparently, and earlier in the morning than I was last time. Not as early as I'm supposed to be, but I think I've seen a condor just now. It was not very close. There was no way I was going to take a photo or video of it, unfortunately. But at least I've seen one. So in the end, one condor, really pretty close, I thought, 10 meters in front of me, less, and then way up on the hill, I could see 3 circling around, and I think the one that I saw a little bit further along the ridge, but yeah, just the one close up. It's quite amazing going through the tunnels here. They're so different to, say, European tunnels where they're perfectly lined with concrete. It really is so clear that you are driving through a mountain with the bare rock sticking out above you. It really is a beautiful drive. As you leave the canyon, it slowly opens out and becomes greener and greener before you climb out, and then you're back into the mountainous, deserty area. Well, having climbed out of Colca Canyon and climbed further and further and further, somehow I'm now at 4,910 meters. I can definitely feel it in the air, or lack of air I should say. The bike's feeling it too as well, definitely a drop in power, but yeah, quite an amazing view now of how many volcanoes? A lot. I will be descending a little bit in the next hour or so, but which will be good because it's quite cold. Not many toilet stops that you can also buy paracetamol, but I bought one for my altitude headache, and I was also given this Agua Florida, I think she called it, something Agua Flores, I can't remember, to sniff and make me feel better. I think I trust the paracetamol a bit more though. And after descending a little from that ridiculously high mountain pass, it was back onto very familiar landscape, the bleak emptiness of this high mountain plateau. I find it quite beautiful in many ways, but it can be hard work. The wind can be very strong sometimes, so you have to really fight against that to keep control. But the day passed without very much incident, until some very dark clouds appeared on the horizon, and it became clear that I was heading exactly for them. No matter. I donned my waterproof gear and was ready for it. I just had a couple more hours drive. Soon though, the rain became a whole lot more challenging. The rain soon turned into snow. Unfortunately, this meant the camera was entirely obscured by the snow, so you can't really see what's happening until various lights show up. That light was a truck going past. At the same time as the camera's clogging up with snow, you can imagine what my helmet visor was doing. Visibility was low at this point. It was really quite difficult to drive. As you can see, there are more lights going past with lorries, but fortunately I then approached a town, and these lights, I can tell you, are the lights of buildings in the town. So it wasn't a difficult decision to decide to cancel the plan of driving another hour and a half through this and find somewhere to stay in this town. I stopped at the first shop I saw and asked them if there was a hotel nearby. I cleared the camera and headed further down the road, although you can see that quickly the camera's clogging up with snow yet again. So I knew that some rain was coming, and I knew that I was at about 4,700 meters. What normally happens when you're really high and there's rain? It's not rain, it's snow. Didn't expect that at all. That was exciting. Fortunately though, I managed to make it to Condorama, not where I wanted to, but it's a place with a hotel to stay, and I'm going to get some food now. You would barely know that there was a blizzard here last night. There's a few patches of snow where there's no sun, but otherwise it's a lovely day. It is cold still. Last night it was -1 or 2 or something with no heating in the room, but at least I found some shelter. And now it's 6 hours drive to Cusco. And right now I'm still at 4,800 meters in this town, and yeah, I don't feel great. Definitely a headache, bit nauseous as well. Need to drink a fair bit more water, but also Cusco's only at 3,300 meters, and I think it's going to feel pretty amazing being there compared to up here. So I left Cabanatuan and the canyon, wound my way through that national park and headed north. About there is where I stayed the night in Condoroma, and then I'm going to head further north all the way to Cusco. The road isn't quite perfect all the way, although this part is under construction to bring it up to standard with the rest of the road. This is the main route from Arequipa to Cusco, two of the major cities in Peru. This is my favourite type of road, really. Many motorcyclists prefer going off-road or on difficult tracks, and I do like that sometimes, but I think I prefer the perfectly laid roads when they're going between the mountains, like through the green valleys. I find it suits me much better. Although you can see there are some reminders that these are still challenging roads and you need to be careful. Some of the bends as they descend around the mountains are a lot tighter than you first imagine. You need to take care. And as the road continues to descend from the mountainous plain, it became greener and greener. What a crazy day. Starting off in the deserty like mountains, and now here I am in a beautiful green valley, the lovely river next to me as well, and just an hour and 20 minutes from Cusco now. Yeah, it's been a tough day. Still got a headache from the altitude, but hopefully that will sort itself out. And then eventually I arrived in Cusco. I've been to Cusco before, but it's always such a thrill to drive through these cities and see them in a different way. The outskirts were more modern, but as I approached the historical centre where my hostel was, the streets became narrower and narrower, the buildings older and more interesting. And here is my beautiful hostel, right in the historical centre, with the paved roads and old buildings surrounding. Cusco is such an interesting city. It's probably most famous for being the starting point for visiting Machu Picchu, but it's so interesting to walk around and see what's going on in this ancient city. Of course, food was going to have to be involved at some point, and this is cheese ice cream. But Peru's most famous dish is ceviche. I went to the market to get mine and watched carefully as it was prepared for me. First course, some soup with some dried corn in it, and then she's carefully preparing the main dish. At the base of it is some sweet potato. Then she mixes the onions with the different types of fish, coriander on top, and you get this wonderful dish. Also in the market was some rice pudding, which I told the woman serving that reminded me of home. I had 2 portions. Then I continued my walk around the city, exploring further.